This week's channel message from the angels is giving us a method to ascend. And it's also giving us some information about what's coming on the horizon. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. It is really great to have you here. And for those of you who are new, if this is your first time, my name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. That means I go into a deep meditative state. And from there, I raise my vibration and I go as high as I can. I go a little higher and I connect to the angelic realm. And from there, I bring in healing and information. So, and I share that information here once a week with these videos. So this week's message, like I was saying, they're talking and they've been giving us a lot of information lately about this new state of consciousness that humanity is embracing. And they were preparing us for it with a lot of these messages for the last several years. And then just recently, it's like we made a switch. And now we're sort of into a new state where this new awareness of unity is available to us. But how do we actually move into it? How do we do it? How do we take advantage of it? And this is how they describe it here and give us very specifically what we need to do. How do we lean in, as they say, to this new center? So it's a great message. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I also want to let you know if you would like to join me on retreat. I do a couple retreats a year, and I've got one coming up April 28th through 30th. And it's at a beautiful space. It's in my home state of Washington in the United States. And for those of you who are local to Washington, it's in Monroe, Washington, at a retreat center there. And the space is absolutely gorgeous. We all stay there in the house. It's a big place. They keep adding on and adding on. It's a little bit like Hogwarts. There's loads of rooms for us. And it's a beautiful space. We have an amazing time together channeling with the angels. So we do channeling and usually a session in the morning, in the afternoons, and in the evenings. Those sessions are healing and information. We usually do a Q&A session with everybody. It's a beautiful experience, and the community that you will find, it really is finding your people. So anyways, I hope you will consider coming. The information I will post in the link down below in the description box. So, and they do sell out, the retreats sell out really, really quickly. So if you are tempted, don't wait. They will sell out really fast. So anyways, it'll be a lot of fun. I hope you can make it. And I hope you enjoy the video.
All right, here we are. They say, we say you are now feeling the justification of where you've been from, of all things hounding your perception. You feel them as a longing to be with the familiar, to be back again to what was known and welcoming, to stay within the shade and shadows of old thinking, for it is comfortable. This we know and understand. Humanity has entered a new season, a new statement for their own unfolding, a new method and way of being. In this time you're encountering now, all things will be different. There is not the same circumstance to lead you on in the way of yesteryear. Now you must put aside your yearnings and feel into your potential, into what will unfold. To let yourself not linger against the tide of the oncoming, but to move into the center of the storm and find your peace. There is peacefulness to be had for yourself. There is tranquility on offer. It can be announced to the self simply and made broader by your understanding, to release yourself from those encounters of fear and justification. To feel within the self that you are able to anchor into what is next for you, to trust us, to trust yourself, to trust all that has come, that it is for you. To be with yourself in this new nation unfolding, you will find yourself untethered to what was, and this is disconcerting. A separation is evident. A separation is unfolding. The world is not as it was. All seems regular, and yet it does dishevel. All seems as it was, and yet nothing proceeds in the same manner. All things disentangle. Prepare yourselves, lean into the center. Feel nothing of what was a pull upon yourselves. Feel only the calm surrender to what comes. Lean into yourself. Find no resistance to the flow on offer. Sense within it that times of turbulence congeal and become a new reality. All things will bend, not break, will bend and renew themselves in some new favor. There is for yourselves a great angst in these times to be unveiled, a great angst for the entirety of humankind, and this we are aware of. We know not of the distance and the time of its offering, for it comes as you are waiting, as you are hesitant, as you are lifting. It comes in response to your beings. It comes as you are ready. It will be, however. This we are sure of. It will be. There are amongst you those who are not feeling themselves complete, who are sensing themselves of a duration not long for this earth, and that we acknowledge, and they will be taken care of, fear nothing. But for yourselves who are wanting, who are enduring, who will stay and venture on into the next coming, lean in. Lean in, you are beckoned. Lean into the center where things are still, and your presence and your knowledge and your resistance seems indefinite, where you can feel no judgment against the self or against anything. When you sense yourself on par and equal with all that is, and in your essence you find the truth of who you are in your presence with everyone. Lean into the center. Judge not, judge nothing. Feel the self neither wrong nor right, only essence. Resist nothing. For the judging of the mind is the effort to conquer the body, an effort to divert your energetic focus away from your incarnating, a way of dividing yourself apart from things. And in this effort to move toward the center, you must claim all as one with yourself. To be of this earth and of the light, this tempting offer remains. To stay the course, to be present, to be of mind and matter. That you are gentle with yourself, that you are centered, that you are ready. Lean into the center. Find your pace and comeuppance to be regular like breathing, without effort. A sense of yourself as rising, simply lifting by being, by allowing. Resist nothing. This is the method, the way. Through love at its center, the universe guides you onward. The temptation to swirl and to stir yourself into frenzy is present. Deny this, all of it. Let it be for the self to rise only at the call of the heavens, to feel the stirring of the heart at your center, to be beloved and one with everything. It is for yourself and yourself alone to acknowledge that you are part of the universe. So, all right, you guys. Yeah, I know it's a doozy. It's a doozy. And yeah, that did not slip by me, that whole section in there about like all things regular right now, but things are coming down the pike towards us. And so this is really, this whole message is like, how do we step into this? It's really giving us, I think, some of the most specific guidance we've had about how do we move through this in a peaceful way, in a way that we feel supported. And they have always said, the angels have always said that when there's chaos outside, just bring your mind back to yourself and look at your four walls and recognize that you're safe where you are and not freak out about what's going on outside. Like to stay and recognize that you can have a peaceful existence regardless of what's happening. So yeah, and this is bringing us even to better understanding, because they've talked about the release of karma. This gets more into that. So let's break it apart. You're saying this aligns with the last peace bathing session. It really does, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think they're really trying to reach us, to talk to us about what we are, where we're headed, and to try to help us to navigate this. Okay, so if you're ready, let's go ahead and break it apart. So the first paragraph, they say, we say you are now feeling the justification of where you've been from. So justification is showing something to be right or reasonable. So this is justifying where we've been from. So it's like we're saying, you know what, the way we are, where we're from, or what our life is, we're saying, this is good. I like things the way they are. It's known, it's comfortable. So, and that's where humanity is, right? Like so many of us are going through massive personal change. Many people that I know are moving across the country, are moving house, massive upheavals in their lives just in the last, really look at the last 2 years of your life. And have you been through a massive shakeup? But there's a lot of people out there who are still in their rut, who are still, that are not moving yet. And even if you have been through a big period of dishevelment, you might be saying, boy, I really would like to add some more peace to my life. I would like to feel like the way things used to be. I'd like to have that sense of being settled, the craving being settled. Well, that's what they're talking about here, is they're saying that they're feeling the justification of where we've been from. We're saying, oh, maybe it's not so bad to slip into some of that the way it used to be. Of all things hounding your perception, you feel them as a longing to be with the familiar, right? And that's a totally understandable feeling, to be back again to what was known and welcoming, to stay within the shade and shadows of old thinking, for it is comfortable. This we know and understand. So I'm glad they acknowledge that about us. Like, humans are safety-seeking creatures. We just are. And when we have our lives turned upside down, it's not usually by choice. So here they're just acknowledging that. And they're acknowledging that this takes courage to step into this and to step into change willingly. It takes a lot of courage. They go on to say, next paragraph, humanity has entered a new season, a new statement for their unfolding, a new method and way of being. So I think this is interesting to notice. They're saying that we have entered, that this has already started. And I think this is really pointing to the progression of their messages over the last several months, is that we reach sort of a point where they're like, and you're here. Like, now you have access to this new consciousness. Like, there was all the period leading up to it. And it was literally in the last 2 or 3, like in the last month or two, where they finally said, okay, now you have access to this. It's there. All you have to do is find it. We all have access to this new centered way of being. So here they're reiterating that humanity has entered a new season. So this, whatever this shift was that we needed to get to this new ability, has happened. And now it's going to be, I think it's going to be like dominoes, where we fall one after another. We all find our way there, and hopefully bring others with us. A new method and way of being. In this time you're encountering now, all things will be different. So it's almost like the shift had to happen with us, and now the shift in us is going to affect and ripple out into our reality. So this is like, yeah, it's like the pages turn, is the best way I can think of to describe it. There is not the same circumstance to lead you on in the way of yesteryear. So saying things can't be the way they were. The circumstances around you won't remain the same. Now you must put aside your yearnings and feel into your potential, into what will unfold, to let yourself not linger against the tide of the oncoming, but to move into the center of the storm and find your peace. So they use that. It's interesting. They use the term center, move into the center. They use it in like 3 different ways here, because that's, that's how they are. They love those double entendres. And somebody said that double entendre has to have a sexual meaning. I differ. I differ from that. I think it can mean, yes, it can be used in a sexual way, but it also means, just in the literal translation, is double meaning. It's a double meaning, triple meaning, quadruple meaning. So move into the center of the storm. So you have the center of the storm. They use it that way. So you think about like a tornado, and when you're in a tornado, if you move into the middle of the tornado, things are bizarrely calm and peaceful. But in the outside, it's crazy town, right? And so that's the initial analogy, is move into the center, the eye of the storm, where you will be peaceful. There's also the center, which is the center of ourselves, right? Which is the center of our our connection to the divine, our connection to the earth. So we're trying to get into our center, and center our chakras, all of it, right? Then the third meaning is, they talk here about judgment and polarity. And so they're saying the way out of this is to get rid of our judgment, which is to move to the center, right? We're not going to judge against ourselves and for ourselves. We're going to move. So the centered is like 3 different meanings here, which is cool, I think, how they did that. So to not linger against the tide of the oncoming, but to move to the center of the storm and find your peace. There is peacefulness to be had for yourself. There is tranquility on offer. It can be announced to the self simply and made broader by your understanding, to release yourself from those encounters of fear and justification. So what they mean by that is that it can be announced to the self simply. So in other words, becoming aware of it is the first step. And then they made broader by your understanding. So the more you kind of digest it, right, that how to do this, the more, so there's the awareness of like, oh, I know this idea that I'm supposed to be out of judgment. I'm supposed to be one with everyone. That's the first step, is the dawning, sort of like, okay, I know this conceptually. The next step is to let that sort of seep out into your understanding. And they say that then broadens it. It's almost like there's every step of our ability to get our heads around this idea is a step forward, I think is what they're saying here. To release ourselves from those encounters of fear and justification. And justification, again, is that idea of justifying, really justifying is attaching to the way things are. Yeah, and our fear, of course, we want to release. They go on to say to feel within the self that you are able to anchor into what is next for you. And that's big. I underline, underline the word able, that you are able to anchor into what is next for you, because so many of us doubt and wonder, like, are we ready? Like, maybe I'm not doing it right. You know, like maybe I haven't stepped into my gifts fully. Maybe I'm not on the right path. Like, none of us are perfect. And I think that's a thing to recognize. The very next line they hear is to trust us, to trust yourself, to trust all that has come, that it is for you. And when they say that it is for you, I think they mean this process, this ascension, this movement onward. The fact that you are interested in listening to messages from the angels shows that this is for you. This is for you. And there's none of us that is like, hey, I got it all figured out. I am done. I'm like ascended and I'm cool. Like, everybody still has junk and everybody is still working on their stuff. And there isn't going to be a point. Like, if we were so clear and so perfect, we would already be one with source. So if we are incarnated, that means we have stuff attached to us and we have to deal with that stuff. So there's always going to be the point where you might feel or wonder, like, okay, did I do what I'm supposed to do? Am I on my path? If you are working on yourself, if you are trying your best to use your gifts, if you are invested in and interested in messages like these and having a relationship with the angels, then yeah, you're totally doing it. You're super doing it. So yeah, so trust yourself and trust that where you are and the circumstances that you're in are all intentional and helping you, and that this process is for you. Yeah. All right. Next paragraph, they say, to be with yourself in this new nation unfolding, you will find yourself untethered to what was, and this is disconcerting. So this is an interesting line. To be with yourself in this new nation unfolding, you will find yourself untethered to what was, and this is disconcerting. So big change coming, big change is coming. And we've known this for a long time. We just don't really know, like, it's unfolded, like some of it has already come. There's been big chunks of it coming, but it is this kind of gradual unraveling. But it sounds like the pace is quickening in some ways. And this mention of this new nation makes me think that this could be geopolitical, that there could be a lot of geopolitical changes on the horizon in the next couple of years that we should be aware of. And you know, the angels have talked before about the separation or the falling apart of the United States, that the US is supposed to go through a massive upheaval. And they have never contradicted that. Like, that's still on the plate here. So they say nation, it could mean the US, it could mean any nation. They've also talked about how the ideal down the road, after all, we go through all this stuff, we're supposed to get to a place where we are not governed in the same way, where it's more about unity, where we are, it's all of us are looking out for each other, that humankind is the nation, right? And that, I think when they say nation, it's like the nation of humankind is the other piece of that. Like, that's what we're trying to head towards, that there's no false boundaries between people. Yeah. So anyways, a couple layers to that as well. And where was that? Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay, in this new nation unfolding, you will find yourselves untethered to what was, and this is disconcerting. They say a separation is evident. A separation is unfolding. The world is not as it was. All seems regular, and yet it does dishevel. All seems as it was, and yet nothing proceeds in the same manner. All things disentangle. So this really brings to mind the idea that there are things behind the scenes that we don't see that are possibly already unraveling, that there are bigger things at play than we usually have access to in our everyday lives. Like, the news, as you guys know, only reports what the news wants to report, and they have to edit, and there's nowhere we can go to get a really truly global perspective that's not biased. There's no way that we can really have a sense of what's happening. and they're saying that a separation is evident. So this is so they're saying that's why they're saying something is going to be happening, and I think they're talking about like geopolitical changes. So it's changes between countries, between nations. A separation is unfolding. So something's already going on. The world is not as it was. All seems regular, and yet it does dishevel. So dishevel, and they're saying that things are disentangling, disheveling. That makes me think of like supply chains getting strained. We know they've already been constrained, but that's the kind of idea of things that like the world is like this great big entangled web of codependencies with, we depend on one country for their parts and another country for their food, and we're all intertwined. And this makes me think of those pieces starting to become loose and disentangling, and that would have major implications. And this is not specific. I don't know what systems they're talking about. They have talked before about supply chain issues. And it's not a thing to make us fearful, because they have said that with supply chain stuff, they have said that it's not that there won't be anything, it's just that there won't be everything available. So, and we've had that already, but potentially more so if we're going to go through a greater period of conflict between nations, is what it sounds like. Conflict between nations, between people. Yeah. So separation could be people separating from their government, could be revolutionary type stuff. So massive change is on the forefront, is what they're talking about. And this is part of the plan, from the way they're describing it, part of the plan. Yeah, so then they go on to say, prepare yourselves, lean into the center. And again, there's that center. Lean into the center of the storm, lean into the center of yourself, lean into the center without judgment, right? Feel nothing of what was a pull upon yourself. So don't let anything, don't stay in that desire to go back, because that's a judgment against what is, right? Feel only the calm surrender to what comes. Lean into yourself. So it really is about, and that's part of the reason they want to make us aware, is so that we're not in resistance to what comes, that we recognize this is all a process, that we're going to be fine, and that this is just something we have to move through. And it's part of how we get better. You can't improve without taking apart something that used to be there. You have to make space for the new, So, okay. To feel only the calm surrender to what comes. Lean into yourself. Find no resistance to the flow on offer. Sense within it that times of turbulence congeal and become a new reality. So they're saying, don't worry, that this will end, and at the end, we will have something better. It will congeal into something better. All things will bend, not break, will bend and renew themselves in some new flavor. So this is really, they're saying, don't worry. It's not going to be like all humanity is not going to be like wiped from the globe in a great giant thing. It's going to be like things will bend, it will be challenging, but it won't break. That we will still be around. And some things will seem the same, you know what I mean? But just not everything. All right, next paragraph. They say, and I like that they say renew themselves in some new favor, that it's a positive, very, very positive changes is in the long run is what we're headed towards. All right, there is for yourselves a great angst in these times to be unveiled. And an angst is like a deep anxiety or dread, unfocused about the state of the world or humanity. So this is the feeling that can be coming up as we're heading into some of these challenging times. There is for yourselves a great angst in these times to be unveiled, a great angst for the entirety of humanity. And this we are aware of. We know not of the distance and the time for its offering. For it comes as you are waiting, as you are hesitant, as you are lifting. So in other words, they can't tell us exactly the timing of all of these things, because it comes out of our energies, that we, in a sense, are creating the reality. And so they can say they see it happening, they see it on the horizon, but exactly how we encounter it or how it shows up or when it shows up is going to be in a large part determined by us and how we are experiencing it, right? It comes in response to your beings. It comes as you are ready. It will be, however, this we are sure of, it will be. So they're saying that at this point, it's like it's too close. That in terms of all of the options that are out there, all the different things, this one has come too close. So now they're saying it's definitely going to happen, but there's still a variability in terms of how we show up. And so they can't give us, they're not going to say it's going to happen next Tuesday at 3 p.m., right? They're like, okay, when are you ready? Then it's going to show up. There are amongst you those who are not feeling themselves complete. So this paragraph is talking about that we know that when we go through difficult things, that not everybody is going to sign up at the soul level to do those things. They're going to say, you know what, I want to check out like right before that bad stuff happens. And that's what this is referring to, that there will potentially be loss of life. And they're saying, don't worry about that, that those people will be taken care of. So they're saying there are amongst you those who are not feeling themselves complete, who are not seeing themselves of a duration not long for this earth. And that we acknowledge. When they say they're not seeing themselves complete, they're not moving into that unified state. They're staying in their 3D reality. And so they're not long for this earth, and that we acknowledge. They say, and they will be taken care of, fear nothing. So they did a whole video, maybe a year or two ago, 2 years ago, I'm not sure, about those that might not choose to come along, and talking about how all of them will be escorted and taken care of. And that at the soul level, we all get to choose. Do we want to move into this new reality, this new way of being, this unified state, or is higher level of consciousness? Or some souls may decide that it's better for them to stay in the karmic reality, to stay because they learn better that way. They may say, nope, I still have a lot to discover about myself here, so I'm going to stay in that. And if they do, then they may choose to exit during this period, or they may live their life out and then just not reincarnate here. So, and then they will be given a different place to reincarnate later that is going to still be in that karmic construct, so they can continue to pursue those lessons. So, and you're saying it's all good. Yeah, exactly. It's all good. So, but they're saying they will be taken care of, fear nothing. But for yourselves who are wanting, who are enduring, who will stay and venture on into the next coming, lean in. Lean in, you are beckoned. So they're really speaking to you here, and speaking to all of you who have come here by choice, who are here on purpose for this time. And they're saying this is the time, and this is the time for us to truly commit ourselves to this process. They're saying, okay, next paragraph, they say, lean in to the center where things are still, and your presence and your knowledge and your resistance seems indefinite. So in other words, when we get to that center point, in the center point of unity with everything, where we're no longer in judgment of anything, where we are in the center of the storm, where we find peace and tranquility, from that point, it's like letting go of the ego. It's not that the ego disappears. We don't lose our identity, but it becomes indefinite. It becomes vague. It becomes not like right now, ego is like there's a ton of difference between each of us, right? We're like, I am me and I have a name and this is my space and my house and you are you. In this new space, it's not like that. It's indefinite. It's more vague. It's a blending, right? And so the things that make us our ego, they say our presence, our knowledge, and our resistance. There it is again. Our resistance is part of the egoic structure. The things we push against, the things we say, I am this and I am not that, right? So that's our resistance and our judgment. And those things, as we move towards the center, become indefinite. They become vague. So here they're going to get really clear about what we need to do in order to move, in order to lean in. How do we do it? They're going to tell us how. They say, where you can feel no judgment against the self or against anything. When you sense yourself on par and equal with all that is, and in your essence, you find the truth of who you are and in your presence with everyone. So it's really about this idea of judgment. And we talk about it all the time, and it says against the self or against anything. And it really is karma. Like our judgment is our karma. That when we have to resist something, whatever it is, we resist something, we are saying that it is somehow wrong or not good. when we put ourselves up against it. And that judgment can be against ourselves, which is our karma. It can be resist any kind of polarity, any kind of we're taking a stand against something. And it can be something where you can say, I am against murderers. And that seems like, boy, that's got to be good, with God. Guys, I love that. But even there, they're saying you can't judge it. You got to be in a space of peace where you say it's not wrong or right, that you're not of that. You aren't that. You don't contain that vibration, but you can't judge it. You can just say that's a different vibration, right? That's a different vibration. So trying to move to a centered space. I know it's hard in a world where we are taught that there's a definite right and wrong. And how do we navigate that when we're trying to navigate away from judgment? Right and wrong is polarity, right? It is judgment. And it's trying to get to a place where we understand that in each of us has reincarnated so many times, and all of us have been murderers at some point. We have all been the bad guy. All of us have. And sometimes we did that as a favor for others to allow them to experience something. And sometimes we did it to explore something, right? And it doesn't make you bad that you did it. You're only bad if you judge yourself as being bad. And that doesn't mean that a murderer can come and not be judged in our society, because those are very, very low vibrations. And we're trying to move up and away from any vibration where people are not kind to one another. We're trying to move into a vibration of love and peace. But the way to get there, and this is the challenging thing, is to let go of our judgment of the things that we would think is wrong. We have to let go of our judgment of the lower vibrations. And that's how we get to the higher vibrations. So it's a little bit tricky. I know that. And it's almost like we have to suspend ourselves in the middle between the 3D reality we live in, when there is visible difficulty in people who are unkind to others and how that makes us feel. And then the knowledge of where we're trying to go, which is into this space of non-judgment. So I know that's complicated. I know it's not easy to navigate. And you're saying, I'm evolving in this way. First, I was judging a classmate who was judging me. Next, I shined my light repeatedly in her. Oh, I'm paired with her. Now I'm paired with her for a project. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, and that's perfect. That's exactly right. Like when you're feeling it, to just go back to, okay, I'm just going to love that person and see how that changes the dynamic. That's awesome. Yeah, really, really, really cool. And Wendy's saying, makes me want to escape all for a month to reset. That is a good idea. I think that's a really good idea. Like sometimes it takes, like whatever it is to take you out of the context. If the context holds you in a pattern, then you're smart to say, okay, just reset button. Let me take a step back and try to see it with fresh eyes, because that could be really helpful. Yeah. All right, so they go a little bit more detail here. They say, lean in next paragraph, lean into the center, judge not, judge nothing. Feel the self neither wrong nor right, only essence, resist nothing. And so this is what we're trying to get at, is that it is not just to say, I'm not going to judge them because they're bad. It is also to say, I am not right because I'm good, right? I am just different. Right? I have a different vibration. My vibration, I like my vibration, right? I'm happy that I am the way that I am, but I'm not going to judge. In other words, it's really trying to let go of that sense of right and wrong. And that is tough. That is very tough. And right and wrong, just to back up a little bit, like right and wrong has a very good place in our society still, in terms of like the justice system and fairness and 3D constructs, but it's just describing the space we're trying to move into, which is when we won't need that stuff anymore. When people will have empathy towards each other to such a degree that they won't be able to be unkind to each other because they will feel the other person's feelings. So that's just a different world. And in that context, we don't need judgment, right? Yeah. All right. Okay. So then they say, neither right nor wrong, only essence, resist nothing. For the judging of the mind is an effort to conquer the body, an effort to divert your energetic focus away from your incarnating, a way of dividing yourself apart from things. So that's really, they're saying the judging is it's like they're basically saying it's the ego, it's the mind trying to divide you from everything else. And it's been a very necessary part of the mission we've been on, which is to understand ourselves. So, but the judgment is the tool. The tool that we've used is judging. And they go, and so that's why we have to let go of it, to let go of this reality. And in this effort to move toward the center, you must claim all as one with yourself. To be of this earth and of the light, this tempting offer remains, to stay the course, to be present, to be of mind and matter. So they're saying the door is wide open. They're saying this opportunity is right here for us right now. They're saying to be of this earth and of the light. So in other words, we can be here incarnated and be our full divine selves. This is the offer, which is amazing, 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 amazing. Right? This tempting offer remains, to stay the course, to be present. So saying like, stick around, it's going to be good, right? To be of mind and matter. So to be incarnated as a spiritual being when you're fully present is going to be amazing is what they're trying to tell us. So they're saying, stick it out. It's going to be great. And Henrik is saying, I stopped watching the news 3 years ago, didn't feel they told the truth. Do you remember when it happened to you? We know the truth is the first victim in war. Oh gosh, it's really true, Henrik, and nicely said. True, you're nicely said too. You're absolutely right. And you're saying, I will take this offer. Awesome. Me too. Exactly. Yes, a tempting offer. All right, next paragraph. They say that you are gentle with yourself, that you are centered, that you are ready. Lean into the center. Find your pace and comeuppance to be regular, like breathing, without effort. So they're saying in this process, this doesn't have to be hard on us. This doesn't have to be a thing where we're struggling to do this. It should be a thing that because again, struggling is resistance. Like we only have to struggle when we are working against something. When we are in flow, then it's peaceful and easy. So it's literally about if we are efforting, then we are creating resistance. So we need to do this in a way that's very gentle with yourself. When you find yourself slipping and being in judgment, be easy with yourself. Be gentle and be like, oh, I notice I'm judging there. Okay, that's all right. I understand. Like any time that you judge yourself, that you feel it's hard, then that is a step backwards. So just allow and let yourself be. The more that, and it's really, I think, a great lesson to start with ourselves, to stop judging ourselves, to be easier on ourselves, to really try to open that up and allow our feelings to flow more easily, allow our perceptions to flow more easily, to acknowledge them and to forgive them, right? So that you are gentle with yourself, that you are centered, that you are ready. Lean into the center. Find your pace and comeuppance to be regular, like breathing, without effort. So that is the thing. So their pace in terms of how fast we're going to move forward, the degree to which we're rising is going to be regular, like breathing. That is going to be just simply by being. We get to do this, and it's really by being without judgment. A sense of yourself as rising, lifting, simply by being, by allowing. Resist nothing. This is the method, the way. So they're laying it out flat. This is how we do it, is by getting out of resistance. And we get out of resistance by stopping with our judgment of ourselves and everything else. It seems so simple. I know it does. And I know it's really, really hard. I know it is, especially because some of the ways we judge ourselves are almost invisible to us. So that's why our triggers are so incredibly valuable, because they show us the ways in we are in judgment to ourselves. Right? When you have somebody show up in your life who is unkind to you, that person is reflecting back a way that you are unkind to yourself, right? Or reflecting back to you some experience that maybe you have been unkind in some way and are unaware of it. But usually it's a way you're unkind to yourself. And that external voice is just mirroring an internal voice. So we just use those triggers as they show up right now, because it can be some very crunchy times as they're trying to help us to get to this place of releasing our judgment. We can really run into some challenging experiences. So just recognize that they are absolutely for you, and they're just trying to help you to release that judgment of yourself and others. Yeah. This is the method, the way. I love that. It's like, boom, here it is on a platter. This is what we're meant to do. All right, next paragraph. Through love at its center, the universe guides you onward. The temptation to swirl and to stir yourself into frenzy is present. Deny this, all of it. So in other words, in the stuff that's coming, it can be tempting to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do something to prepare. I have to, like to get fearful, or I have to watch the news, like Henrik was saying, or I have to, and they're saying, deny all of it. And don't let yourself get pulled into fear in any way. They're saying, let it be for the self to rise only at the call of the heavens. And I will tell you guys, I had a dream not that long ago showing me, because you guys know I'm going to be doing some traveling this year. And I was worried about, like, okay, is there anywhere that I shouldn't go? Because we talked about earth changes and all this kind of stuff. Is there anywhere I shouldn't go? And I had a dream that everywhere I went, I took a tent with me. And they were showing me that anywhere I go, I will be fine, and to not worry about it. And so it really is about our personal vibration. So that is a true thing, right? That's really about leaning into the center and not let ourselves get caught up in the fear or the frenzy. Deny this, all of it. Let it be for the self to rise only at the call of the heavens, to feel the stirring of the heart at your center. So again, referring to the center, heart at your center, to be beloved and one with everything, right? And that is the cool thing, you guys, is that as we talk about this idea of being one with everything, that the goal in doing this is that you will feel beloved. Like that's the idea, is that when you're one with everything, you feel that incredible welcoming and belonging that has been missing for humanity for as long as we know, right? That we are living an experience of separation, and loneliness is our biggest Achilles heel. And we're trying to move into a state where we feel beloved, right? And that is super cool. So it is, but we have to give first. We have to give up our judgments in order to get there, in order to receive that amazing love that's on offer, that comes from being one with everything. Yeah. And the last sentence here they say is to feel beloved and one with everything. It is for yourself and yourself alone to acknowledge that you are part of the universe. So, and I love that. I love that last line because it is. It is for ourselves and ourselves alone. And so this is saying that it has to be our choice. We are the ones that have to let down our judgments, let down our resistance, to acknowledge that we are one with the universe. So in other words, this is not to say that we are becoming, this is not to say that we're earning it. It's saying that we already are. We're just acknowledging it. It's already there. We're already in that state. We just have been in denial of it. So that to acknowledge that we're there, right? That we are part of the universe, one with everything. Yeah. And you're saying, we are all beloved. Yes, absolutely. And Rebecca's saying, I'm glad for those experiences are for us. Yeah, for sure. And you're saying, the idea of true belonging is so wonderful. I know, right? I mean, that is what we're trying to get to. So it isn't just about the better feeling that you have when you're not in judgment, which is way better, by the way. Like, not judging others feels better. It feels good. But even better is as you release that, then to allow in that sense of connection and love. And I think that's the ticket. That's the good stuff. You're saying, I've been working with the Mel Robbins high heart 5. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. That's awesome. It's been super helpful. That is really cool. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Because that's right. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. Yeah, absolutely. So I think they just laid it out for us pretty clearly. Our goal is to become extremely aware of anywhere that we are in judgment of ourselves or others, anywhere we feel resistance, and to try to move as best we can to release that and try to move into the center position of our judgment, right? To let go of I'm right and they're wrong. So get to the center of ourselves in terms of our connection, right? And then be at the center of the storm. So cool. You say the beautiful Roman city of Bath is well worth a visit. So, thank you. Are you talking about when I go and do my trip? Thank you. I would love to go there. That would be really, really cool. So yeah, I'm working on figuring out the travel. I'm working on different cities and stuff like that. So that is in the works. I just have to figure out all the logistics. So, and for those of you who joined in late, I want to remind you that I'm announcing today officially that I have a retreat coming up April 28th through the 30th in Washington State. So you come into the SeaTac airport if you're not in this area. If you're local, it's out by Monroe at a really beautiful retreat center. So I hope you can join me. I'm going to go ahead and put the link. I'll post a link to it so you guys have it. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. You're saying thank you. Love this. I judged my mother-in-law last night. Need to let this go. Awesome. That's great. Great self-insight. Very, very cool. Very timely. All right, you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you next Friday live with another awesome message. Bye, you guys.